Okay, so we're going to go into illustrations, and this is just the idea of putting in shapes and icons and 3D models and word art into your slides. You probably won't use all of these all the time. It's just something to maybe put here and there to make things kind of stand out, kind of emphasize certain things and so forth. So I'm going to start out with shapes. Now, the shapes can be found either in the Insert tab over here, or even if you're in the Home tab, you'll have shapes over here as well. Okay, either one gives you the same thing. I think people are kind of drawn more towards maybe going into Insert to do it because you're kind of inserting something into your slide. So we'll kind of work with this area here. So we go to Insert. We go here to Shapes, click onto that, and you get quite a number of different shapes to put together here. Now, the one type here, which is more like, I guess would be, I don't know what you would call it, maybe one-dimensional, two-dimensional, I don't know, but just kind of flat, that would be kind of like what you see up here. So things like lines and things like that you can work with. You can also do these like two-dimensional shapes as well. We have block arrows, and we have equation shapes, and we have flow charts and so forth. Some of these can act as like connectors between different shapes as well. So I'll give you an example here. Let's say we start with a basic rectangle. Okay, so they have the most recent ones up here that you've used, and then of course those all came from down here. But let's just say we start out with just a plain old line. So if I clicked onto the line like that, then you get something like this. Now, what happens, that little crosshair, think about the almost like the pencil lead or the ink tip there being at the center or the bullseye of that little crosshair, I guess, right? And so what you can do is you just kind of point to a starting area there, hold down your mouse, and you just kind of drag it like this, and you get the line. Now, what's kind of interesting is that it doesn't take much to get a different angle, but you can pretty easily stay set with it being completely flat. If you need to go at an angle, obviously you can go like this, but you basically kind of draw it out like that, all right? And that's pretty easy. Then if later on you want to go back in there and let's say maybe change the angle, what you can do is you just click onto the line just like that, and then you can kind of point to this little graphic handle here just like that, hold on your mouse and drag it, and you can kind of change the angle. So let's say you do something like that, you let go, okay, there it is. Now, you can also go in that same area, shorten it up a little bit, flip it around like that, kind of go back and forth. Now, let's say you did something like that, and now you want to get it to go completely flat, perfectly flat. So you can actually kind of drag it like this and kind of get an eyeball as to where it might be. And you can kind of see how it kind of gets stuck, almost kind of gravitates right to being perfectly flat or horizontal. The other thing you can do too is, well, I guess it's just a matter of just like technique, but that's about as easy as it gets, I think, right? Now that would be obviously horizontal. If you went like this, see how it kind of snaps in there to being vertical. So it's pretty easy to get it to either go horizontal or vertical pretty easily, change the width of it and all that. Now once you've made it, I guess, you'll notice at the top here we've got the shape format. Now in some of the earlier versions of this program, you'd end up getting something called shape tools up there, and then you just see format. So I think this is a little bit nicer shape format. I mean, it's pretty telling. When you click onto that, and it's already been clicked, you'll get all the different tools that have to do with that. So one of them would be, well, I want to make it maybe a thicker line, different color, whatever. So over here, I've got either the shape styles. Now if I click on the More button right here, it shows me a lot of different styles that we have here, different presets where we can actually add an arrowhead to it and so forth. But you can find something else, like maybe this one right here. You click onto it, there it is. The other way would be to go over here to the shape outline. Here's where you can actually change the color, all right? Or you can go in there and you can actually change the weight or the thickness of it. So you can make it, let's say, 3-point, but as you hover over it, you can kind of see it in the background changing. So that kind of helps. You can also go in there and you can actually add it or change it to where it's a dash line, you know, any of these here. You can also then add arrow tips. So like right now, if I were to go with this one right here, you can kind of see how, well, you can kind of see over the right there where, in this spot right here, how it changes an arrow tip there. And if you did this one here, it'd be on the other side, which is kind of covered up right now. But you got all these different settings that you can do on it as well. All right, so let's say maybe I want to do something like that. All right, and then I can take this from the back end, kind of drag it up there, mission statement. Maybe I want to kind of emphasize that a little bit and just kind of do that, or maybe point to my logo or whatever. I'm not the most creative individual. I'm just showing you the tools. You try to figure out what you want to do with them, but it is kind of an interesting, you know, thing nonetheless. Now, another thing you can do too with these, I'm just going to kind of drag this over. So I'm just kind of moving it by just dragging anywhere else aside from the two ends here, and it'll move it around. I can do something like this, kind of pull that back there. I'm going to take this side, put it up there. And then if I want to make a duplicate of it for whatever reason, while it's selected on the keyboard, if you hit Control and the letter D, that'll duplicate it as many times as you hit Control D. And it gives you basically the same arrow. I mean, in this case, the same arrow, but the same length and all that. And then you can take those and say, well, I want to take this one here and move it down over there. Take this one, move it over here. Whatever floats your boat as far as that's concerned. Now, if we go back into the shapes again, other types that we have here would be more of a shape, all right, in this case. So you can actually, let's say, maybe point to, I don't know, maybe let's say the triangle here, right? So I can click onto that. Now what happens with that is, back in the old days when you wanted to draw a triangle, you had to take basically 3 lines and kind of put them together and make a triangle. I mean, so you've got some pretty nice tools now. So watch this. I hold on my mouse, right? And as I drag it at an angle, I get the triangle, all right? And I can kind of go up or down with it like that. But either way, it's always going to be a triangle. So I can do something like that, let go. And in this case, if I wanted to, let's say, rotate it, I've got this button up here. I can kind of just drag it like that, just by pointing my mouse to it and letting go, and dragging it, and then I can let go and have that. I can also point to this spot right here and drag it and kind of change the, I guess, the angle of it a little bit. Do something like that. And I can move this back if I wanted to. So it's pretty simple aspect there. Now, the idea here is if I were to take that object, let's say, and drag it over here and let go, what's happened? Well, the object is on top of the arrows. Now, how do these positions happen? Well, each item that you put in there, the order in which you put it, the most recent is always going to be on the most top, all right? So to give you an example here, if I take this arrow here, as you can see, even though I moved it towards it, it's still below it because this was the most recent one. The arrow was one of the first ones. Now, if I went to the arrow here, and I went back and I'll just do this from this one here, the shape outline, and I were to change the color, let's say, to green. All right. Now, that way you can see it better. So now if I take this and drag it there, now you can see how the green is on top of the red. And that's because of the fact that the green one, or that second arrow, came in after the first arrow, see? But it's still going to be behind the triangle because the triangle is the most recent, all right? Now, what you can do with this is if you wanted to kind of change it to where maybe the arrow was on the very top of this, what you could do is you just kind of point to it, right-click it, gotta get it just right here, right-click it, and then you'll have on here the the item here called bring to front. Now if I click on a bring to front, it brings it to the front, see? If I click on this one here and tell that, and again do a right click on it and bring to front, all right, it brings that on top, see? So pretty simple stuff, but just it gives you some good ideas, especially if you're going to have multiple graphics, maybe kind of overlaying, and you want them to, you know, one to be on top of the other, this one on top of that one, and all that. You can very easily make that happen. Now, the idea too, now let me just go ahead and bring in another shape here. I'll go back into shapes here. And let's say I'll go with this, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll go with a circle here. All right, so I'll go ahead and draw the circle. There it is. I'm going to give it a different color as well. So I'll go to shape fill, and we'll go maybe with blue. All right, so now if I take that one and put it over here, it's on top of everything because it's the most recent, see? So I take that one, and I take this one here, this one's obviously going to be behind it. Now if I take the arrow and drag it here, okay, so now the arrow is on top of the triangle, but it's below the circle. Now if I do a right click on that arrow and I say bring to front, all right, it's on top of everything, all right? Now if I want to put it back to where it's between the circle and the triangle, then what I would do is I do a right click, and where it says bring to front, send to back, what I'll do instead, because I don't want to send it to back because it's going to go all the way in the back, I'll hit this little arrow here and tell it to send it backward. So it'll go one level back, see? And if I go back in there again and do another right click and go back to send it back, but I hit the arrow and I hit send backward. All right, come on. So send backward, and that's still not enough. So I'll go back there again. It just likes to play with me here. Send backward. There, finally. See, now that's all the way behind there. So that gives you an idea of this, you know, layering effect and how every object has its own level. Just think of it that way. Now I can also kind of resize, you know, the circle if I wanted to, just by clicking it and dragging it like that. That makes it more of an oval. If I drag it from the corner though, it keeps it, for the most part, almost. I mean, I would say almost, you know, circular. But here's the thing. If you're, let's say, wanting to make this bigger, okay, and you kind of do this and you kind of drag it. I don't know if you can kind of see. Let me do this here. Let me pull this out over here so you can see this better. So if I want to make this bigger and I drag it like that, it's going to be kind of hard to get it just right, okay? But if I hold down my shift key, so think about this. Let me go back. Let me get another circle here. All right, so there it is. Drag it out. And if I get it, just see, if I get like that, if I drag it with those arrows, then I know that I've got a perfect circle, okay? Now, if I go ahead and make it bigger, then I have to get it just right to where it does something like that. But I'm back to my original size here. But now watch this. If I hold down my shift key and I drag it from the corner here, it keeps it proportional, so it keeps it circular. So it's that shift key that's making that happen. So if I go back in here and let's say I pick a square or a rectangle, I guess I'd call it, and I do something like that. So let's just say that's the size that I want right there, okay? Now if I make it any bigger, how do I keep it the way it is? I hold on that shift key and I can keep that proportion the same, see? It's just little things, but you know, stuff that I think comes in handy. So think about that shift key really making your life a lot easier. Now if I want to get rid of an object, I can just kind of click onto it like that, hit the delete key, or I can kind of lasso a bunch of them. Now watch this. If I start about right here, hold on my mouse and drag it like this and let go, it gets everything selected in there. And I can just go ahead and hit the delete key and off it goes. And I'll just go over here as well, drag that, delete that. Now I want to show you something that's pretty cool. It has to do with flow charting. And what you can do here is if you click on the shapes, let's say we'll just go with just a rectangle here. And I will draw a rectangle, just a small one like that. Okay. Now I'll make some duplicates of it. So I'm going to do a Control D, D, D. All right, I've made my duplicates. Now, if I put, let's say, this one here, and I want to put the next one perfectly next to it, see how the lines are changing, those red lines at the top and bottom? So when I see those, then I know that I'm at the same level as that one on the right. If I drag it down like this, that's telling me that the top of the left one is perfectly centered with the right one. If I drag it further down, then that's telling me right there that they're perfectly, if I can get there, right? They're perfectly lined up, you know, top to bottom. All right, that's pretty easy. Now, if I go over here and let's say I drag this one here, okay, and I take this one and I put it, let's say, well, you know, actually, I'll put it over here better. We'll do that one there, and then we'll get this one just like that. And then I'll put this one kind of like down there. Oh, now there, it's telling me that they're equal between each other, so I can let go on that one, and maybe I'll take this one here, and now that's going to be even there. All right, now, here's my main thing to do here. If I go back here to shapes, we have these lines which also act as connectors, all right? So if I take, let's say this one here, which is a double-tipped one, click onto that. Notice when I'm pointing to these, how I get those little sockets kind of appearing. So if I kind of point to right here, hold down my mouse and drag it like that, and let go, they're connected. So if I were to take this and move it around, it stays connected. Pretty cool. Now, if we go back to the shapes again, and let's say I go with, let's say, the double elbow right here, and I point, let's say, right here, hold down my mouse and drag it, that one right there, perfect connection. I can do the same thing again. I'll go back to here again with the shape, get my double elbow, do this one right here, and drag it to there. Not bad. And then I can go and click onto one of them like that, and I can actually just hit my left arrow key, and I can nudge it in to whatever position I want it to be. And I can do the same thing on the right-hand side. I can bring that one in as well. All right. So not too bad. Good stuff there. And the other thing, big thing with these shapes is that you click on any one of them and you type in on your keyboard anything, all right, and then kind of click away from it. There you go. Now if I want it centered, I just have to kind of click onto it like here, all right, and then up here in my home tab in the paragraph area, I can go with the center, and that centers it that way. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of these things. I'm just going to click on each of the lines and hit the delete key, just like that. All right. Now, if I want to line these things up, let me show this to you again here. I can take this first one like that, take the second one and line it up, and now I know I've got it perfectly level with the other one, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to bring this one in, and I want to put it next to here, but I want to have the same amount of space as I have here between them. Now watch what happens. When I get up here, there I know I'm level. Now as I get closer and closer, eventually you're going to see those double arrows. When I see those double red arrow tips there, then I know I have the same space between the first and second as I do the second and the third. And then I just let go and that's it. If I take this one here and drag it to about right there, that's good. All right, I know I've got that level. Now I'm going to go to this one here. I'm going to do a Control D, make a duplicate. Now watch what happens here. I can take this and I go there, and I know now that I've got the exact amount of space between the first and second as I do with the second and third, just by that. Not bad. Now another thing you can do if you don't have that much patience, you know, by dragging and so forth. Let's say you've got this one here, and we've got this one here, but I've got this one down here, I've got this one like over here, and I've got this one over there. And what I want to do is get them all level, okay? So what we'll do here is I click on this one here, hold down my control key, click on this one, this one, this one, and this one, and then I've got the arrange, and I can tell it that I want to align them, and I'm first of all align them to the top. All right, so I click on to align top, they all get aligned top. Now I go back into arrange, all right, and I've got over here with the align, and I can tell it to distribute horizontally. Now watch what happens. What it does, it takes this one and this one, those are like the anchor points, and it puts these and stretches them out just enough, you know, as far as spacing goes, so they all have exactly the same amount of space between them all. And I've got the same sort of thing vertically as well. If I were to take maybe the first one, here's my second one, here's my third one, and then I've got this one. I'll just do this fourth one here. Let's say I got this one right there, all right? So the first thing I might do is I want to get them all kind of lined up, let's say on the left-hand side. So I'll go and I'll click onto here, control key, click onto here, here, and here, right? And then all I have to do is go back in and as far as the arrangement goes, to the alignment, I'll line them all up on, let's say on the left. All right, so they're all lined up on the left. And then what I can do is I can now set it up so where I can distribute them as well. We'll see what happens with this one. So I'm going to distribute them vertically. So I do that, and that would be about the best I can do. I must have duplicated these other ones in the back there. I'm going to just go and delete that. But you get the idea of what it did there. So let's try again. So I'll click here, control key, control, control, right? And then I'll arrange, align, and distribute vertically. And there we go. That's close. I think it's because we just have an impossible amount of space there. So if I maybe bring this up just a little bit, and I've got that one, control, click, click, right? And then I go back to arrange, and then align vertically. There we go. That looks good. So that's how you set that up. So you got two different ways of getting things aligned up. So I'll go with another shape here. Click onto here. This time I'm going to go with something a little bit out of the ordinary here. We'll go with the, let's go, here, go back in here, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit more, and we've got some other items in here, like the stars and so forth. So maybe I'll pick this star right here. As I drag it, I created the star, all right? And again, I can point to here, kind of do stuff like that with it. So every object has its own little tool to kind of play around with there. But I can do that, I can resize, I can do all the stuff that I did before with it. And what I can also do, I can go to the shape fill, I can fill the color up if I wanted to. I can even go over to picture, right? And I can go in there, I'll just do this one here. And I can put a picture within the object. That's pretty cool. Okay, so now if I wanted to just kind of clean everything up, I'll just go ahead and kind of point about right here, drag it like that, let go, hit delete, got rid of most of them, start down here, kind of do something like that, hit the delete key, that takes care of that. Now, what I'll do next, I'm going to show you another type of thing we have, and that's the icons. Now, this is a relatively new feature, but if you click on the icons, and it gets this off the internet for the most part, so if you don't have an online connection, you might have a little trouble getting this. But I mean, they've got these two-dimensional objects, and I mean, and what you're seeing here is I'm scrolling down here. These are all of the objects that you have, but you can also kind of jump to each group by just clicking on to the appropriate group name there. So we got business, we got art, arrows, whatever, animals, you name it. So what you can do is you can kind of just use your wheel on your mouse to kind of scroll down and try to find the right one you want to go with. Let's say you find one, you want to go with the bug. All you have to do is click onto that, hit insert, and there's your bug. All right. And of course now the bug can be rotated. All right. The bug can be changed or change the size. You can change the size if you wanted to. You can make it a skinny bug if you want to. And you can also, while it's selected, go into your Format tab up here, and we can go in and we can, do the graphics fill here. We can say, well, I want to change it to a different color, right? So I can do that there. we got the graphics outline. We can actually tell it we want a red outline to it all, and you can kind of see how that turns around. So that's pretty much it. I mean, so if you want to make a few of these, we can click on one of them or click onto it, hit Control D a couple times, and now they're multiplying. So that might be good with ants. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? So if I'm over here, we'll just do this real quick here. So we'll go find our animals here. Go over here to bugs, all right? And do we have ants? My God, we don't even have any ants. I can't believe it. Oh, here we've got a butterfly. We'll click on the butterfly here, right? Hit insert, there's your butterfly. And again, I can take that, I can rotate it, and I can go to the graphics fill. Now, what I can also do is I can go to the more fill colors, and I can find the exact color that I want. I can go here and I can click onto something like that, hit OK, and there's your animal, right? And I can take the bug like that. I can take the butterfly, and the butterfly could be like sitting on top of the bug's head or something. I don't know. There we go. Okay, so I know a lot of you are pretty excited about that feature, right? So I'll go ahead and select all of them. Adios, that one. I missed that one for some reason. Okay, select that. Oh, why is it not selecting? I guess I'll just click onto them and delete them that way. All right, so another thing that we have here are these 3D models, and this is actually pretty cool. If you click onto the arrow, we have them from a file, if you happen to have a three-dimensional file, or we can actually go online and find some. So we can actually go into here, and of course this is brought to you by, I think, Bing, or Remix 3D, I guess. And so a lot of different aspects here. We got robots and shapes and monsters and outdoor adventure, but I mean, quite a few things in here. They've actually added stuff in here recently, so we've got a lot more stuff to choose from. So if we were to go maybe with, let's say, animals, so I'll click on animals, click the view all, comes up like that. And I don't know, let's say we go with the bird. All right, so we'll click on that. We'll insert it. And it takes a few seconds. There's the bird, all right? So I'll bring that down here. And now watch this. I'm pointing this spot right here. As I hold on my mouse and drag it, I can actually do that kind of thing. So we can turn the bird upside down, dead bird, live bird, dead bird, live bird. And there we go. See, pretty cool. And you can also move them around, put them up here, and have them kind of looking at you there. You can also resize it. See, so when you go down here, bring it down, make it a little bit smaller, and there you go. So pretty cool stuff. All right. So if you've got a 3D, I guess, drawing type program, you can also use those files in place of the ones that you saw here. And that was what where you saw when we did the insert and we did the 3D models, and you can either go from file, so there you can go and dig it up on your own if you got them in there, navigate to wherever you got those files at. So that's pretty cool. So what I could do, I'll do one more here for you here. And we'll get our animals here again. And here's the snake. I know a lot of you like snakes. So there's a snake. Move them down here. Resize them. All right. Oop. And then there we go. So you can do something like that. Move the object down here. Take the bird. Okay, there you go. Look at that, huh? Takes off with the snake. All right, anyway, that's it, you guys. So hopefully this is something that you can use. Again, you know, making these different objects and so forth, you're not going to do that on every slide, but it's just good to know that you can make this stuff happen pretty easily. So I appreciate you watching the video. Take care.